Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's the Cryptid Huntress. I'm Jessica Jones. Happy Monday, y'all. I hope you guys all had a wonderful weekend, and I know I had a pretty cool weekend myself. I went to the grave of Mahalia Lancaster, a very well-known fortune teller from Georgia. Okay, and that where she lived down in Heard County is part of that troop herd corridor that I talk about a lot. It's one of my research areas. There's a lot of strange things going on down there at the troop herd corridor. I forgot to upload some pictures of my trip, but you guys can find those on my social media, on Instagram. I did put some pictures on Instagram. And on Facebook at Jessica, the Cryptid Huntress on Facebook. Y'all go give me a follow over there. I went and met my friend Bryce from Esoteric Atlanta. I love Bryce, y'all. She is so cool. And we went there with my son and her boyfriend as well, Todd. So shout out to all them. We had a great time, but we did go visit Miss Mahalia's grave, and we left $1 and a dime. So those of y'all who know, y'all know what's up. That's what she would charge people to have their fortunes read from her. And but she is a staple of Georgia legend and lore over here in these parts. So, oh, and then I took them Bigfooting after we did that. And my son, Todd gave my son a slingshot. And I don't know, that was a great idea or a terrible idea, but it was awesome. So yeah, so that's the update. That's the weekend update for you guys on what we did over the weekend. And also, we had brown dwarf over here on Saturday night, and we talked about the homeless population in California potentially being fatally attacked by dogmen. And we had a gentleman in the chat who Brown had actually interviewed, who has firsthand knowledge and experience with what's going on over there. So if you guys missed that, please go and give it a watch. And that was a wonderful show. Very informative, and I want to thank Brown Dwarf for being here and sharing all his knowledge with us. And he went over his Bluff Creek trip that he took. He went on, I think it was a 9-day hike and into Bluff Creek, where Patty from the Patterson-Gimlin film was filmed. Okay, that's where she was. And y'all know what happened with her there. I do have a show on that where I was remote viewing what happened to her. And I've talked about that quite a bit. And MK Davis has some interesting research on that as well. So it's a really interesting story. It's kind of sad, but nonetheless, Brown Dwarf is a real boots on the ground field investigator, and that's my favorite type of people, y'all. Okay, and so we get along great. All of us boots on the ground field researchers, most of us. Okay, all right, y'all. Well, we have a great show today. We're actually going to be talking to a other boots on the ground field researcher who puts in a lot of research, a lot of time in the woods, and also at the lake. Okay, so we have Long Island Bigfoot Mike here in the studio today. My buddy Mike. We've done some actual research together up in New York. We were at Montauk together at Camp Hero. We're going to talk about that today. There is a lake there that is said to have a monster in the lake, and we have pictures of that. We don't have pictures of the monster, okay, but we'll tell you guys the story behind that. But he recently just did an investigation at Lake Champlain, looking for Champ, and he's taken a report of a lake mermaid in New York. We're going to hear about that firsthand today and talk about some other lake mermaids and other aquatic cryptids. All right, so y'all get ready. We got a great show again this afternoon. If y'all would like to follow along with all of my shows and stuff, please go to my website. That's thecryptidhuntress.com. All of my shows are there. All the events I'm going to be at, for the most part, are on my calendar there. So y'all go check that out. And it's a pretty good way to get in touch with me, too. I'm horrible about getting back to people. I'm drowning in a sea of messages from people right now from every direction. So I'm going to try to start getting back to people this week. Okay. But that's a way to get in touch with me. Okay. Over there on my website, there's a little box that pops up and says, "Can I help you?" Just say yeah. And say you have a question and type it in. Okay. And also I do have a Patreon. Shout out to all my Patreon members. You guys are the best. If you're a VIP member and I don't have your mailing address yet, please send that to me at the Cryptid Huntress gmail.com. And so thank you to all my Patreon members. If you guys would like to join, just go to that link right there. Just it's Patreon/Cryptid Huntress. Okay. And go become a member. You can also become a member of my channel here. Channel members will have a little piece of artwork beside their name here in the chat today. And so thank you to all of my members. You guys get exclusive content, and thank you for your support. Also, I do have a shop, War Woman Goods. Thank you. Thank you, Maureen. I saw you bought a necklace this weekend. So thank you so much. And thank you to everybody who supports me through that outlet as well. So y'all are the best. Okay. Okay, let's get to our Monsters of the Lake show today. You know, the last time I did a show, it may not have been the last time I did a show on lake monsters, but one of the times that I had Barry Littleton on, we talked about the kappa out of Japan. And I had a hard time jumping in the lake after that. I had a really hard time. I actually went to the lake with my sister and her family, and we were all diving into the water out in Alabama. And I just really did not want to be in that water after that. I just kept feeling like something was going to grab my foot and pull me under. Okay, so please, but let's not live in fear. Don't live in fear, like I always say, but just be aware. Just be aware. After the show today, we're all going to be acutely aware of monsters in the lakes, okay, and mermaids and all that kind of stuff. But to help me do that today, I do have Long Island Bigfoot Mike here in the studio today. Okay, so we're actually going to cover these are some of the lake monsters we're going to cover today. We're going to look up. We're going to talk about Champ out of Lake Champlain. We're also going to talk about the legend of Lake Ronkonkoma. I think is how you pronounce that, out of New York. The Lake Montauk Monster, Pyramid Lake, of course, we've covered that before, and the Altamaha-ha here in Georgia. That's one of my favorites that we have not covered yet. I can't wait to get into that today. Long Island Bigfoot Mike grew up in Long Island, New York. He was always intrigued by wildlife, oceanic creatures, and dinosaurs. These interests are the foundation which propelled his research and curiosity into cryptids later in life. With a fascination for whales and the Lochness Monster, Mike would frequently ask his family to visit Scotland to search for Nessie. Between 2007 to 2011, he served in the Army and spent a year in Afghanistan. While the impact of what he experienced is something he works on healing every day, searching for Bigfoot brings Mike peace and relief from the effects of PTSD. He's observed families of Bigfoots and other entities and anomalies in the woods of Long Island and the Catskill Mountains. He enjoys and has much respect for being put in the position of Sasquatch to connect our peoples together. You guys, please help me welcome to the show my boots on the ground fellow researcher, Mike, Long Island Bigfoot. Hey, Mike.
Hey, what's going on?
Long time no see, buddy.
Yeah, that was very nice. Thank you.
Well, I'm just glad you're here today. I haven't seen you in a long time, and you and I had some really fun research days together and nights out in New York last year.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
We covered a lot. We did a lot more than Camp Hero. You know, that I put out a documentary Brian helped me with. You know, at Council Rock too, and then we did a lot with the Eldridge, right? That was supposed to be coming out at that point. So, I mean, we put a lot of effort into that. And then I forget who was with us that day, but we went to Lake Montauk, right? And we hit a few places, that's for sure.
Oh, I remember. I have a picture. I have proof. We had DHP.
Oh, yeah, there it is. There it is. Jonathan and DHP. All right.
Yeah, that's actually at Lake Montauk. Okay, that's near Camp Hero, I guess, in that area. The Montauk Lake. We're going to get into this in a little bit because people that we were there with are actually survivors of the Montauk Project and the program there at Camp Hero. And the rumor goes, the legend goes, they all were telling us that you cannot stick one finger in that water if you've been a part of that program, or else the Montauk Monster will take you under.
Yeah, well, I tested it and went in a little bit, and because I mean, I have comfort knowing I wasn't, you know, I didn't have any part in it, but yeah, I can see like why these survivors, you know, I didn't know much about that before we went there, right? I didn't know much about that portion of the Montauk survivors. I knew about MK Ultra and everything that went down there, or a little bit at least from hanging out with you guys and the previous years that we did expeditions out there. But it was really like it was similar to the Real World, right? You remember that show? Remember the show The Real World on MTV? That's kind of what it was like, right? So like all of us from like different places that didn't know each other all just got picked to live in a house. And like and we just kind of explored together. And it was like it was crazy cool how well it worked out.
I mean, there were like 25 of us, I think, and it ranged from, I mean, just the types of people from the different backgrounds that we all had. It
Mhm.
was wild. Like, I don't think I've ever hung out with such a diverse. I mean, I hang out with a lot of diverse people. Okay, but that
Yeah.
was pretty diverse. I mean, we had Bob Estes there with ST Satellites, who kind of
Hmm.
sponsored the trip. To Brian Sang, to James Rink, and Alondra, and Chas.
Yeah.
Who else was there? Was it Christy? And Ida, and I mean, we had all sorts of people there.
Yeah.
Yourself, Dark Hours
Arkeem.
Paranormal. Yeah,
Arkeem was there.
Arkeem was there. That's right.
Yeah.
That's when I got to hang out with Arkeem. Uh, can't forget. I mean, there's so many people. I know I'm leaving out a ton
Well,
of
I
people.
mean, Dark Hour Paranormal and Montauk is Strange, of course, right? But I mean, yeah, there was a lot of folks there, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah. But we've had some interesting times out there searching. And as a matter of fact, one morning I slept in late and you guys got up early and went to Camp Hero, and you got a video potentially of Junior out there, right? The
Yeah.
Bigfoot.
Yeah. Well, I was just filming and I kind of got drawn to the woods, and I believe Brian had broken down and I was going to help him out, and I went somewhere and I managed to find different fluids or whatever, and so I was like working on his car and just something felt like it was behind me, and I turned around and just kind of I was like, obviously, right, I always grab my camera like just so it's already out and ready to go. Hey babe. And so all of a sudden, like I just was drawn into this like down log, and something didn't look right towards the end of it, like something was laying behind it and like sticking its head out the side of it or like around it. So I actually called the other guys in, and they're very very impartial to what they've never had a sighting or anything to that effect or necessarily, or so I was like, just tell me what you see down there, just look down there and tell me what you see. And they were both like jaw drops, kind of like, wow, like I don't know what that is. And I was like, yeah, I'm like, I'm not going down there, like we're not either. So I'm like, all right.
Oh wow. Well, we I've actually brought Junior up several times throughout this past year, talking about that. We were talking about the Billy Whack monster out of California, and
Okay.
that was actually part from the 1920s. They had a program. I don't know if it's exactly like the Montauk Project in New York. But they had something similar back in the 1920s, where this gentleman was working for the, what is it? It's like the precursor to the, I think it's called the OSS.
Mm,
Think that was the precursor to the CIA, and
yeah.
had an underground facility under his high-tech dairy where he was making chimeras and producing goat men. Okay, there was a goat man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was a super soldier back in the. Can you believe the 1920s? It's wild. But
Yeah, well,
I compared it to Junior though, the Sasquatch or the whatever.
yeah,
He's a Sasquatch, right?
yeah, well, I mean, that's kind of like what it appears to be, I guess. You gotta kind of toggle that line between folklore and like and facts, right? Because you have people who are talking facts, and then you have like people like Preston and Peter Moon who were kind of telling their story and kind of maybe beefing it up, or maybe Peter Moon wanted to build up his book a little bit or whatever. So you got to kind of toggle the line. But fact is, yeah, they were manifesting and trying to create this monster. Now, did it come through a portal and to destroy everything, or the inklings and energy and downloads that I was getting was like, I'm not the monster, you guys were, and I corrected shit. You know what I mean? Like you guys were doing evil shit out here, and I put an end to it. not in those layman's terms, but I can't really explain a download, but it's almost like you just understand what something's trying to tell you,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, ain't that the truth though? I mean, some horrible things went on at Montauk, and I was just thinking there's a place there called Plum Island that's not too far from where we were at Camp Hero, and they're known for experimenting on animals, and there was something called the Montauk Monster that washed up on shore there a while back.
Yes. Yeah. So I actually took Dark Hour Paranormal on the way back to the ferry at Orient Point, which is right. Orient Point is the end of Long Island on the north shore. Montauk is the end of Long Island on the south shore. And then Plum Island is just a few hundred yards, maybe a mile out and from Orient Point. And that's where they get on the ferry. They have a separate ferry. They have a fenced-in parking area, a building, and I filmed all this. I just put it out like a couple of weeks ago. But we tried to go in Brookhaven Labs, and as soon as I started getting on the property, a cop, like an undercover cop, pulled in and got behind me, and was like he went out of his way to get behind me and sit behind me. I tried to go really slow to let him around, and he wouldn't. So then I was like, all right, there's no chance of even going forward more. So I went to go, and another cop came out from like the guard gates and kind of put a blocker on it. And if you can look up Brookhaven Labs from like Google Maps and literally just look down and see the chaos that's going on there, the things that should not belong. And if you look at the big circle part, where they have like an atomizer separator, all sorts of shit that shouldn't be there, that doesn't make any sense. But if you look at that big circle part, that's the part that's said to go down underground.
Oh, wow.
So it's considered Fort Upton. It's considered a military base, which is why they're allowed to carry such like high-grade weapons and things to that effect. Because you would say, why do scientists need automatic rifles at the gate? But yeah. So, but yeah, Plum Island is a whole nother story. Yeah, you same scenario. You can't get there unless you get on their ferry, and then you get searched when you get there. You get searched like a couple times as you go down. Now people go down, like somebody Brian knows was sent there to do a job. He had to leave his tools. He had to ask and sign out different things like screwdrivers. He had to sign them out and sign them back in. They wash you when you go in, wash you when you come out, like all sorts of stuff. It's interesting. There's a lot that goes on there that we'll never know. But I'm going to start digging. It's one of my new things I'm going to start digging on. So we'll see. Yeah,
keep us posted on that for sure.
It's a little nerve-wracking when you look at the past people that have kind of dug into it and what's happened to them. But yeah.
Well, maybe you shouldn't be announcing it then. I'm just saying.
It is what it is. They know you're coming anyway.
Right. They do. Okay. Jason asking, did the Eldridge appear in the lake? Actually, it was the ocean. Oh. It was the ocean. And that was such a weird experience because we went on the 20-year anniversary. Every 20 years, there's something called the Biorhythm Portal that opens up. And the USS Eldridge from the Philadelphia experiment is supposed to come through this portal every 20 years. And they say that some of the gentlemen that were on the boat, there was like a boat that was rowing to shore, they'll show up. Sometimes those guys will be in town. And so we actually had people that posted up at a diner or a library. I can't remember where they were, but we were posted up in the water. We were posted up on the bluff. We were posted up everywhere looking for
multiple places. Yeah. And the thing that struck me as the oddest was the fog that rolled in. It was very unnatural looking. I don't know. I've lived here my whole life and I've never seen a fog that looked like that. We are a flatlanders, if you will, right? There's no mountains here. It's a different story if you're driving up a 3,000-foot mountain and you're in the clouds per se. The clouds were like on ground level. Take it or leave it. I don't know what to tell you, but the clouds were on ground level and we couldn't see much, so we had to go and push towards the shore That's when I think we were up at Council Rock trying to look out, and then I think we moved down to the shore by the lighthouse, and we were looking outward, and we did right. We had people that took a boat out to the GPS locations or where we thought it would be. It was a really it was well planned. There was some good financiers, luckily, that were willing to really give us help, and it was cool. It was a cool thing.
It's amazing how many people just want to know the truth and to explore these things.
Yeah.
It was amazing. I mean, it was. I can't wait to go back. I think we got
I
another
know.
trip planned, hopefully, in the works. I want to be a part of it. I'm always down for an adventure, for sure,
Yeah.
and so are you. And you've been doing stuff. You've been branching out from Bigfoot research and
Yeah.
going on other adventures, looking for other cryptids. You've been taking reports. I have been dying to talk to you about the Mermaid.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was
And
an interesting one.
yeah, but also you've gone to Lake Champlain
Yeah.
looking for camp. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
that was a solo mission. I got to get some people to come back with me. I have some people that are interested. That's gonna take a little bit of money again because what I did was I had to get a B&B. I wanted to get one that was on the lake. So where I went to was a place called Kings Bay. It was just a place where I thought that it might come in to kind of hide away. Lake Champlain is massive. It comes all the way down to Whitehall. I sent you some pictures. So I went all the way from the bottom tip to the top tip. I went around to the Vermont side. I didn't go all the way down the Vermont side, but I did as much as I could with the time I had by myself. Um, yeah, it was I was using night vision. I was using thermals. Also, yeah, I rented a boat. I actually
that's cool.
the captain and I became friends, the guy who owns the boat company, and I asked him to stay on with me so I could film and pay attention, and he ended up telling me a story of his own about Champ, and he said he didn't believe anything about it, but him and his friends were drinking. Those are that's Valcour Island, so that's you start at Valcour Island boat rentals, whatever, and you go around Valcour Island. So a lot of history there, a lot of history. So
Wow.
he what we did, I wanted to get the pontoon boat that had the fish finder, right? Because I wanted to be able to see if anything came down below, and so I had to rent out the newer boat. And anyway, long story short, it was a lot of fun. And then he came and finally started talking to me about his encounter, where he was kind of laughing at his friends about what they were screaming about. They were on a boat, and being that he owns boats, everybody wants to be his friend. That's where I stayed. That's the view from the backyard of where I stayed. That's the fire pit and where it overlooked, and the dock I sat on over and over again all day, every day, just staring out. Um, and they were all on the boat drinking, hanging out, whatever. And they said all of a sudden that they saw something that didn't belong. Right? They saw those humps, the signature humps, and as he turned and looked. He saw it on the down tick. It was going down, but he said it was something massive, something very similar to that. And I'd really like to get. I'm debating on if I should put out all the stuff I have already from it, and or if I should wait and do more on it and then put it all together. But it's a really amazing place, and really good energy all the way around. Like I had a blast. I went I went with the hopes of having a good time, and it just superseded like anything. And I didn't go into like even when I went to Whitehall too. Like I didn't go into like the town area, the touristy areas where like everybody's gonna just kind of sell you something, right? I always want to go and like go to the people who kind of are like on the fence, or like or possibly not necessarily don't believe, but like people who aren't gonna just kind of like
Sell you some merch, some
yeah,
merch.
right,
Yeah,
right, yeah, yeah.
I
That's
understand completely. Yeah, I mean, because you want to get a good sampling of what everybody thinks about it and their experience with it. But it's really fascinating because this really does look a lot like the Lochness Monster. Okay,
Yeah.
and so this is the famous picture of Nessie right here out of
Hmm.
Loch Ness in Scotland, and this is the one picture that we have right here.
I
Of
think the first one you just showed was debunked, though.
yeah, that's what they say. Well, some say it's been
Yeah,
debunked.
some say. Who knows, though?
Who knows? Who knows? But this is our own Loch Ness monster. And
Hmm.
Champ, of course, on the sign it says Champy here. Legendary lake monster lives here. Over 300 sightings reported since 1819, up to 200 feet long. NYS, New York state law protects this regional icon. Whoa. So you better not go hunting it, okay? Because
Same
they
thing in Whitehall. You can't kill a Bigfoot. Like it's a law. Yeah.
good. That's a
Yeah.
good thing. Um, it maybe it will deter people from getting out there too much. I think. I mean, if you catch it, there's no more mystery. Okay, right? So, but of course, I would like to observe one. I think that'd be great. Just to go out there and see it. And they say that this has been spotted since the early 1800s too.
There's
Now,
so many, yeah, there's so many places it could go and be. And, when you think about it, like, I mean, I don't know how people feel about like space, right? But like, apparently I'll put it in quotes, we've been to space, but we can't get to the bottom of the ocean in some places, right? And like, and when you look at a submarine, I always say like, it's a spaceship. A submarine is a spaceship. It just submerges, right? It's the same exact thing. It's manned by one or a couple people. It's very tight. It's small. It's all the same crap. It's all the same stuff. So it amazes me. So I just know there's so much that we don't know about under the water.
oh yeah, some people say that outer space is actually in the ocean. That's another rabbit hole. Okay.
Ogo Pogo and
Pogo
Beast.
Pogo.
See,
Oh yeah.
these are the things I love. I love hearing it.
Oh, there's all sorts of sea creatures,
Yeah.
and matter of fact, I'll pull up some charts because these are some sea serpents. Okay, the aquatic cryptids of the world. This is around the world. We have some of these here in the
Hmm.
United States. They look a lot like plesiosaurs. I think that's how you say it. Plesiosaurs and sea dragons and stuff
Yeah.
too.
Right.
Okay, sea dragons. Those are. I mean, I went to what do we have here? I can't remember the name of that museum up in Cartersville. It's a science museum up there. The Tellus Museum. I used to take my son there. We had an annual membership 1 year or 2 years, and my favorite part of that museum was to go see the plesiosaur. Okay,
Right.
it looks because it looked like the Loch Ness monster. That was my favorite part of going there, and
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah. And the Museum of Natural History is like, there's so many things involved in that place, but I go right to the dinosaurs. I
me
go right
too.
there because
I
it's amazing. Even though it's just bones, you could see the size of it. And then even Mystic at the aquarium in Mystic, Connecticut, did a 3D dinosaur thing, right? And I went out of my way, like I went out of my way to go over there, and I bought like a 3-day pass, and I was just like, you know, spending spending all day with the dinosaurs. And this is going back like 5 years. I was like a grown man.
Oh yeah, yeah. We're like little kids up in these museums too. When we go, this is a really interesting map or chart, I guess, of all the different aquatic cryptids of the world as well. And let me take that down so y'all can see it. Um,
Oh,
there's even one down there at the bottom that looks kind of like the monster that I put on, and I call them monsters. That's so mean. They may be really nice. I don't know. We call them monsters, but the creature from the Black Lagoon, if y'all are familiar with that, that's kind of where I got the inspiration for that. On the even though it's a lagoon, I guess a lagoon would be freshwater, right? I think a
yeah,
lagoon is
yeah.
freshwater,
Maybe,
like
yeah.
a fresh spring. Okay,
Crackers, yeah.
but there's something that looks like it down there at the bottom. Now I can't remember the name of that cryptid. Let me take this down. I can't can't read that. My eyes are too
Oh,
old. Got an old
no.
lady eyes.
Yeah, all I could read is Lake Monster.
It's just a lake monster. If anybody in the
PETA?
chat knows, y'all throw it in the chat.
PETA? Oh, never mind.
It's that one over there. Yeah, with the web cams. Okay. But that's really interesting. It's a little creepy, but a lot of them look like dinosaurs. It look dinosaurs. And you and I both know we get modern day dinosaur reports out of the Appalachians, the Catskills, Adirondacks. So it's not out of the question. These could be dinosaurs living today.
I don't talk about it a lot, but it's more common than you think. Like, it's more common than you think. And these people do not want me to even talk about it. Like some people will say, "Oh, you could tell my story, just leave my name out." Most of these people don't want to, they don't even want you to talk about the location or anything.
Okay. Well, it's kind of dangerous if you think about it. If we've got, we never know what's swimming underneath us when we're in the lake. We really don't.
Remember when I told you I was going to go see the oldest forest in the world because I found out it was there and it was up in the, and I bumped into a lot of information on that trip. I bumped into a lot of information on that trip. Stevie B.
Oh yeah. Hey Stevie. Okay. Let me take these down so y'all can see that too. A lot of these look very serpent-like as well, like snakes, eels, and some people believe that some of these things that they're seeing in the water are large eels. Is it EELS? I'm sorry for saying.
Yeah.
How do you spell it? Eels. Okay. Like an electric eel. Or serpent. I mean, we even have one that we're going to talk about in a few minutes down here in Georgia called the Altamaha-ha. And some think that it's like an alligator gar, potentially. Gars are pretty weird looking.
They scare the shit out of me.
Yeah, they look like an alligator fish. Okay. Mm-hmm. And you don't want one to bite you. You don't want to step on one or jump on one when you jump in the lake if you go swimming. They do look pretty scary, actually. I think I have a picture of one here. I got something really good to show y'all today, too. There was a news report out of South Georgia and something that looks like Champ washed up on shore. Okay. Really? Yeah. I don't know. I guess we could talk about it now. I wanted to get into some other stuff. Yeah, that's a gar.
Oh, okay, it's a gar. Yeah.
That's a gar. Yes. That is a gar right there. Or it's a painting of a gar. Alligator gars are pretty scary looking. And Dennis says there are also water worms. Yay! I'm so excited to hear about water worms. They're pretty scary too. But yeah, let's go back to Champ for a minute. Let's cover Champ. And I want to. So, did you actually have any sightings of Champ at all while you were there at Lake Champlain?
No, nothing solid. It was like it was a lot of it was very peaceful for me though, like to be there staring at the water kind of and like going to these different locations and seeing the history and there's a lot of history there in general, and you realize like with all the historic signs, and then just even when you're looking at the water and you hear, even when you're in the woods and you hear things outside, right? The outside world creeping in, horns, sirens, whatever the case may be. It's like, it's a very stark reminder that people are wrapped up in their own shit, right? Everyone's wrapped up in their own shit, in their own head, in their own mind. So like, for all I know, like I could have been cooking dinner and Champ could have swam by, right? So I ended up doing a live stream that when I was out there. I think you were there for a while, and it was actually like a big hit because I was like playing music and I just didn't care about the copyrights. But I did it on the back deck and I barbecued just so I could make sure I was continuing to look out there. But the something I wanted to say was there are a lot of possible misidentifications, right? And like even a bunch of birds were swimming in a row, and it was foggy that day. And I mean, I sprinted, right? I sprinted to the end of the dock, And I'm really like locked in, and I'm like, oh my God, this is it. And like, I really got a good look at it. And then I was like, oh, all right. It's just it, but these ducks or whatever they were, I don't know if they were cormorants or whatever, but they were all swimming in a row. So yeah, I mean, I get why people like just want to write it off and say it could be things like a pike, a giant pike, or a giant gar, or oh, it was ducks, or oh, it was a log, it was driftwood. But when you get people like I got, right? When I called the guy, the boat rental guy, Cy, I told him what I was doing because he's like, well, we're shutting down in about an hour. How long till you get here? I said, look, if I get my shit on right now, I could be to you in an hour. And, and he's like, well, this is a really, he's like, I was going to go home. Usually season winds down by now. He's like, but this is like the rarest call I've ever got. And he's like, this is pretty cool, actually. So he was willing to stay open. And, we went and gassed up the boat and went out. But it was different, and it was a lot of like, this is why I'd say like explore more all the time, and explore and put your whatever boots on the ground, right? Put yourself in it before you judge it. Go check it out. Go do it. Go experience it. Try it before you shit on it. You know what I
Oh
mean?
my God. In this case, it would be scuba flippers in the water.
There's
Instead of
so
being on the
many.
ground.
There's so many aspects to this that's why I kind of want to go back and do more, and I'm really looking forward to it. I have enough to put out like a mini doc now, but I've been sitting on it for a while.
Oh yeah, you got to do that. You got to do that for sure. And I'm so excited. Now, would you ever go scuba diving down in that lake, or even snorkeling or anything? I mean, do you think it's safe?
Snorkeling, definitely. I when I went to Florida with Mogia Monster and Stevie B, we went on a boat a couple of times. We took out some boats and went down some awesome places, and like, I mean, it's like prehistoric down there where they live. Like, I was shocked. You can't see 2 feet into the woods. So to say there's no skunk ape down there is ignorance in a nutshell. But we went snorkeling. We went into this place called Crystal River, and then we went down to Three Sisters Springs, and it was awesome, right? It was amazing. And that's where the manatees go, like in the winter. Like, the water doesn't really change in there, but it was like crystal clear. But anyway, that was kind of my introduction to snorkeling. Like, and then scuba diving, I don't know. Like, I guess I would do it. I'm just nervous about it. Claustrophobic, let's put it that way. I get claustrophobic, so I don't
Yeah,
know
right.
if the
I
water's
get it.
dark, yeah, it's weird. It's weird. But
No,
I
I
would
get
do
it.
it.
Yeah, it's like it's so open and so vast. It makes me claustrophobic. It's
If,
weird like that,
if
right? I don't
when
like
you
that
can't,
feeling either.
if you
Yeah,
can see, it's a little different, right?
yeah,
If you can see what's coming towards you, your mind plays less tricks on you. Plus, I guess if you can't see, if the visibility isn't good, there's really no point in going under the surface to look anyway. So,
yeah.
but that's why I wanted that fish finder, that whatever
The
I guess
sonar.
that's what they're called. I
I
don't
think
know.
it's like a sonar, right? Sonar,
Yeah.
radar kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. Well, let's go over some fun facts about the history of Lake Champlain right quick. Okay. Let's do it right quick. With our chicken fingers and tater logs. I'm just kidding. Oh man. Y'all, in case y'all don't remember, when Mike and I met up in New York, I don't think he could understand what I was saying because our dialects were so off. And so he makes fun of me for saying chicken fingers and tater logs and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's why, yeah. And he's got a really northern accent. I got a really southern accent. So it was funny watching us trying to communicate. Okay. It was funny.
Yeah.
But okay, so the Native Americans there, they've always talked about have a large creature that inhabits this lake up here at Lake Champlain. Let's see. Let me pull up a map. This is an old map of Lake Champlain right here. They said that it looked like a large horned serpent or a giant snake. They actually called it the Gittaskog. Early in the 18th century, they warned French explorers about disturbing the waters on the lake as to not disturb the serpent. Okay, so Samuel de Champlain, whom the lake is named after, is erroneously credited for being the first European to sight Champ. But he was not the first one, of course. There have been a bunch of famous accounts of this, actually. The first being appearing in the newspaper, the Plattsburgh Republican newspaper, Saturday, July 24th of 1819. It says that there was a captain who was aboard the Bulwaga Bay. Okay, he reported a black monster about 187 feet long with a head resembling a seahorse. Okay, so let's go and look at this map right here, because I saw one that looked like it had a seahorse head on it. Yeah. Right there on the second row. Yep. Those two are in the top second row. They said that it reared more than 15 feet out of the water. He claimed it had 3 teeth, eyes the color of a peeled onion, and a white star on its forehead, and a belt of red around its neck. So 1873, there were a whole bunch of sightings of it. Said that a railroad crew had seen the head of an enormous serpent in Lake Champlain with bright silvery scales that glistened in the sun. July of 1873, the Clinton County Sheriff Nathan Mooney reported an enormous snake or water serpent. He said it was around 25 to 35 feet long. And then in August of that same year, steamship W.B. Eddy encountered Champ by running into it. They literally ran into it. Yeah. The ship nearly turned over, according to the people that were on board. So eventually, you know about the P.T. Barnum circus, right? Barnum and Bailey?
Yeah.
Well, P.T. Barnum offered a reward of $50,000 in 1873. That was a lot of money back then.
A lot of money, yeah.
Yeah, if somebody could find the serpent, okay, and so he could put it in his circus.
Yeah, it's collected.
Yes, there was another sighting in 1945 when passengers of the SS Ticonderoga, I don't know how you pronounce these things, y'all. I'm sorry. Claimed to have seen the creature, and then in the 1900s, pictures started coming up.
Ticonderoga, that's upstate. Yeah.
Okay, but the most notable picture is this one right here. Okay, that's the most notable. In 1992, sightings had totaled 180, with approximately 600 people claiming to have seen Champ all over the lake. Few people even managed to get pictures. And yeah, I mean, you went there. You were there for a nice little period of time. You didn't have the luck of finding it while you were out there, but it is nonetheless a really cool cryptid out of New York. Is it New York? Where's Champlain?
Yeah, it starts in Whitehall. Basically, actually, at the bottom of the river, there's a river that goes down all the way to Whitehall, but it's on the New York side, but you could be on the Vermont side as well.
Okay.
So, depending which border you want.
Okay.
And then there's a lot of islands in between too. You saw Grand Isle. That's a huge one that's in there.
Okay. I don't want to run out of time and not cover these other ones, because I've got a picture that I got to show y'all today. Let's talk about the Lady of the Lake.
Okay.
Right quick. Again, let's do the Lady of the Lake and tell us about that. And if you can pronounce the name of that lake for me, that'd be great.
Yeah, Ronkonkoma.
Ronkonkoma. Okay.
So, if you go to that place at any given time, it's a nice lake. It's got little beaches. You'd think people would be in it all the time, fishing, kayaking, whatever. Nobody goes in it because there's native lore there, and there's a lot of native lore everywhere, right? And so that is actually behind it is a tree. That tree was brought in from England. It's not native to this land, that tree. It was brought in from England by rich landowners many, many years ago, and they chose to carve it into the Native American princess. And there was a woodworker that was on that side of the lake, and the Indian princess from the Setauket tribe lived on the other side of the lake. Very Romeo and Juliet like type story, right? And she was sworn from being with him. She was not allowed to be with him, so she would have rather be dead than to not be with him.
Yeah.
She rode out to the middle of the water and, killed herself, and her spirit lives in that lake now. And every year she takes a man. I believe in the past, like 50 years, 30 men. And we're not talking like weak swimmers or, fatal boating accident or anything. We're just talking like people are out there kayaking, fishing, swimming, somebody like in decent shape, and they just disappear. Not only do they just, get drowned, most of them disappear and nobody knows where they go. We pretty much say it's bottomless. There's only so many feet you can go down before you can't see anything. I don't think anybody's found the bottom yet.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the legend of it, actually. When I was looking it up, I have a little bit of background on it. I think they did determine that it was 60 feet deep. So they said that the legend goes that it's bottomless, but they did find that it was 60 feet deep, which is really deep, actually. That's pretty deep for a lake. It says it's more than 60 feet deep, as a matter of fact.
The Lady of the Lake is a movie that they made in 2018. I haven't seen it yet, but when I was looking up, I was trying to find her name, and it's like Nawashaka or something like that. I forget, but I was trying to look up her name, and that's when I found out that there was a movie on it, which I thought was pretty cool. Who knows how bad they butchered it, but
there's no telling. Okay, well let me read what I have here on it. It says, so of course, like you said, it was like a Romeo and Juliet type of a story, a love story, which actually reminds me a lot of the Pyramid Lake Spiteful Mermaid. And that's out in Nevada. We're going to talk about that in about 1 minute here. So I guess Ronkonkoma was not just a beautiful. That was actually her name, according to this article. She was not just a beautiful girl, but also a princess. And she I guess she had a secret affair, or she secretly loved a woodcutter named Hugh Birdsall. Now, Hugh Birdsall actually did exist. This was an actual person. Yeah. So it says, in the last month of the 7th year of their written rendezvous, the passionate princess couldn't bear the separation from him, so she sent a final ominous, watery telegram to her beloved Birdsall, stating that she would join him in the morning. As the sun came up and the harsh light of day replaced the soft moon's glow, which had illuminated the liminal spaces between them, Birdsall was met with the horror saved only for nightmares of legends. He waited at the water's edge for her, and coming out of the depths, like a vengeful spirit, a canoe floated towards him, and the princess was in it, and her heart had been pierced. Okay, so she was actually dead inside this canoe. And so some say that he got on board with her and he went out into the ocean, and they were never seen again. So they both were unalived, as we say on YouTube. But her spirit is restless, and she's still wanting. I don't know why she died. I mean, did she unalive herself? I never could figure that part out.
Yeah, I guess she couldn't deal with what was going on. But anyway, it's I guess in her eyes it's not negative, but she's trying to take a man back. Like, she's trying to take her man back. So it's a very specific man, a very specific age, usually a very like it's wild. It's wild.
It is wild. It is.
Nobody goes in there.
Well, I can tell you why we don't go in there too. There's all these rumors. It's just like at Pyramid Lake. They say to not walk in that water, even put a toe in there, because a spiteful mermaid or the water babies or both will take you under at Pyramid Lake. And I have some pictures of Pyramid Lake right here too. We talked about that. This is something that I had done a remote view session on, and Brian Sang came on the show. We talked about this. He lives right down the road from Pyramid Lake, not very far. It looks like they actually have pyramids there.
That's in Reno, right?
It's near there. Yeah, it's about 40 miles from Reno.
Yeah,
I believe. Yeah,
wow.
I mean, a pyramid's there.
Yeah, that's a pyramid.
That's a pyramid. It is. Yeah. Okay, so but going back to the other one with the princess, it says that there's a professional diver named Bill Pfeiffer. He's mapped out the entire bottom of this lake, and he did say that he's the one that said it's at least 60 feet deep. He alleges that on one of his expeditions, he was accompanied by a female marine biologist. She swore that she went into a dark portal. She saw the vision of a bright blue light and was ensnared by sirenic tentacles of long flowing black hair. So that's mermaid hair. Okay, wow. Mermaid hair for about half a minute, which seems like an eternity, before she was untangled from the ghostly tendrils. So she claimed to have gotten attacked. Well, not like savagely attacked, but enveloped by the mermaid's hair. And a half a minute would seem like forever.
Oh, right? Yeah. Especially underwater. Shit.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but it does remind me of Pyramid Lake. And for everybody who remembers that, the legend of Pyramid Lake, there's not only the water babies, but there's a mermaid that a Paiute warrior fell in love with on the lake. According to the legend, he took her back to his village. I guess he carried her because she can't walk, right? To marry her, but he was told to return her to the water. Becoming enraged, the mermaid cursed the entire tribe. And today, many Paiute members believe that all the bad luck, including the Pyramid Lake War, is tied to that curse that the mermaid put on their crew there. She and the water babies are tied to many of the missing people who have vanished while swimming and boating in the waters. Of course, they also have the water babies. The legend goes that the Paiute a long time ago would throw deformed or premature babies into the water to dispose of them. And so people do hear babies crying in the lake. And I guess maybe some people have gone into the lake to try to save the children in the lake, and they're met with a watery death. And some say, I mean, this is actual fact, that sometimes people will go missing out of this lake with no trace, and they'll wind up at Lake Tahoe. Their body will surface there.
Well, that's one of the drownings happened at the Long Island Sound, which isn't near Lake Ronkonkoma, and they were trying to connect it for some reason. It was very odd, and they were asking the mother even if she thought it was connected, and I'm like, I have to dive more into that, but it's weird because those two places are not near each other at all.
No. Okay, well, let's talk about now. Okay, so there have been mermaids sighted in this lake, seen in this lake, and they actually say that they specifically say Caucasian men are targeted at that lake. Okay, so white men. Be careful. Be a little more alert out there, y'all. Okay.
Yeah, I had a report once about a mermaid, and like it was a Caucasian guy.
Yes. Well, okay. Let's talk about let's get a little more in depth. Let's talk about that mermaid sighting that you had that report of. That was in New York. Is that anywhere near any of these lakes, like Champlain, or where exactly was that? Can you tell me?
It would be it's on the island. It would be directly north, like all the way north of like Ronkonkoma.
Okay. Is that
the Long Island Sound, there's a bay, and like from where I'm standing here, like that's Pirates Cove. And then there's a lot of boats out there now. When the guy was in there, he was the only boat. Sometimes there's no boats, whatever. Now over there is a port. Like if you're looking straight on, there's a port to the left, and then if you go to the right, you go out to the Sound. Now right behind me is the Long Island Sound as well. I'm standing on top of a bluff. But the guy was parked down in that quiet cove, and he saw and encountered a mermaid. He kept it to himself. He's a long life boat captain. Kept it to himself for a long time. Didn't know who to tell. I guess he told the people on the boat with him, and they laughed at him, and he kept it to himself, right? And then he knew me from school, and he saw me on paranormal caught on camera on TV, and he was like, "Oh, okay, wow, here's my opening to, I guess, get this shit off my chest." And I wasn't going to judge the guy, and I told him I would follow up on it, so I did, and I walked it on foot. It took me a while to figure it out, but I got down there and I walked the whole cove on foot. I looked for possibilities of things that it could be, maybe on accident, but I'm not going to also just like discredit this guy because he knows what the hell he's looking at. He's seen a million things in the ocean. So, yeah, there's seaweed that floats up that looks like red hair, like Ariel, right? There's rocks that are like, that have like moss growing off of them that can look like flowing hair. But I'm not gonna, write off what this guy saw because of what I'm looking at, because he knows. He's seen all this stuff a million times. So I didn't have the pleasure of seeing anything. No, I don't know if I'd want to. Obviously I'm just kind of giving you the cliff notes here, but I did do a couple of I covered it a couple of times. I went back 2 or 3 times I went back. And it's a prime location, I guess, right? If you were something that wanted to come in and just like feed off of whatever, like there was every type of wildlife in there. Fish jumping, birds flying in. It was very peaceful, very quiet. There's no humans around. I went there one day and it was covered in fog for hours. I mean, hours. I was there for like 3 hours and it was covered in fog. You couldn't see your hand in front of your face. So, like, it's pretty amazing to think that something came in that close. And yeah, I mean, like I said, I didn't see it personally, but I totally believe this guy and what he saw. And basically, what he described was like a mix between a siren and like your typical Ariel, from the Little Mermaid. Yeah.
That's wild. A lot of people who say that they've seen mermaids, they say that they look hideous. And they're not actually beautiful like Ariel would be. But
Yeah.
it just depends. We got like, what is it, the Nomo tribe, or is it the Nomo down in Africa, I guess, with the aquatic cryptids down there. I mean, they look scary. Okay.
I still don't know anything about them.
But I bet there's some beautiful ones too. I mean, okay, so I've actually heard about river mermaids, freshwater mermaids in North Carolina.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah,
why not?
It's a thing. It's a thing, actually.
The way I look at it is like everything adapts, right? Like you even have bull sharks that will come all the way up, up rivers.
Yeah.
And they're freshwater sharks are fresh. Well, I mean, salt water, but they're coming up freshwater rivers or brackish, right? But I mean, it shouldn't be possible for them to enter into fresh water and start ramming into people and where they shouldn't be. But so what would make it hard for a mermaid to do that? I don't see any limitations there, really. Not that I'm an expert on it, but
yeah.
I don't write off anything anymore. Oh.
I know, right? I mean, even Brooke says some could be shapeshifters. Yeah, I mean, anything is possible these days, for sure. The Dogon tribe, the Nomo, are their legend. That's right. Thank you, Aaron, for the clarification. I know that I've actually been given that as a remote viewing target. Before, I believe it was a target because I think Barry gave that to me a while back and we did a show on it. So I can't keep all these targets straight and stuff, y'all. There's so many of them. But I have a list of lake mermaids. I'm just going to go down it really quickly so we can get on to the Altamaha-ha. So we have the Rainy Lake Mermaid. That's a mermaid. It says, ooh, that's in Copenhagen. That's not even here. Sorry. But we have mermaids in the Great Lakes, Mike. It says that there's rumors of small freshwater mermaids living in the Great Lakes, including Lake Michigan, Superior, Huron, Erie, and Ontario. I mean, I've heard of the Great Lakes mermaids before. In Lake Superior, it says in 1782, a voyager reported seeing an animal similar to a mermaid in Lake Superior. Another person reported seeing a similar animal and they call them animals in this for some reason. This was, I guess they are animals. They're not human, right? Cryptids is what we should call them.
I don't know.
But that was in the 1700s, okay? And I don't think this is in the United States. Okay, but yeah, mermaids have been chronicled throughout history, and Homer actually even wrote about mermaids in the Odyssey. Just FYI, a little fun fact for the audience today.
It was the same thing with like the giant squid, right? Like it was like a thing of like, you know, legend, right? And then all of a sudden now there's giant squid, right? And it's like, so what's to stop it, you know? What's to stop it from happening? Things are elusive that are smarter than us when they're on their own turf, you know? And it's just really that simple. You know?
Yes. Okay.
Like we could see a sperm whale, right? And science tells us, oh, it's because they go down deep and they eat squid and the squid beat the shit out of them. How the hell do we know? How do we know it's not mermaid spears? We don't. We don't have a clue. We're just guessing off what we know is down there, right? I mean, I like to think outside the box personally, you know?
Yes, me too. Me too. And speaking about outside the box, how about sharks swimming up rivers and stuff too? Like that bull sharks, that is pretty terrifying. I mean, we've already got, you know, alligators, crocodiles, manatees, and all that kind of stuff.
Well, somebody had brought up like, oh, well, we would have found like, you know, Bigfoot or Sasquatch or whatever, like eating or whatever by now. I said, so I brought up somebody brought up mountain lions and they said, there's mountain lions out there, but have you ever seen one? And like, no. And like, right. And I said, well, do you know that? I said, do you know that mountain lions have now started to keep coyotes and wolves and bears from coming to mess with them while they're eating? They're killing and leaving it, knowing that the coyotes and the wolves and the bear are going to come. And they're even sometimes doing it a second time. And then, and they're even doing it a second time sometimes. And then actually then killing and bringing up a tree and eating in peace. So they're killing and leaving it, knowing that these animals are going to come and scavenge. And they're kind of like adapting to a pack predator, you know what I mean? So who's to say that these things don't constantly adapt to what we do, right? It's like, oh, we get caught once now with our pants down and we go and we switch the game up, right?
Oh yeah, switching the game up. Yeah, and I'll tell you something that switched the game up too is a news report out of South Georgia. It was either North Florida or South Georgia. Let's see. Let me get my notes on this because I want to show you all this picture. This was from 2018. 2018. Oh, and Walter, thank you so much. Let me pull that up. Thank you for the super sticker, Walter. I appreciate you very much. Okay. The First Coast News did an actual news report. If I could figure out how to share the screen without making my computer go haywire, I'd share the screen, but I'm not going to try. Y'all can look this up. It's First Coast News from March 17th. I think that's St. Patty's Day, I think, of 2018. A man from Waycross, Georgia, that's down in South Georgia, found his own version of the Lochness Monster on Friday while at Wolf Island. Jeff Warren was out with his son on a boat near the Barrier Islands going around Wolf Island when he saw what he thought was a dead seal. A large heron was pecking at the creature's carcass, but Warren was able to get a picture and video of the creature. And the way the Loch Ness Monster has been described, the way Champ has been described, the way a lot of these aquatic animals have been described, cryptids, it looks a lot like this. This is what the man, if you're squeamish, you guys, it's a sea creature right there. It may have something coming out of it. I don't know. But this is this is actually in the news. Okay. And what does that look like to you, Mike?
I mean, yeah, like a baby.
Yeah.
It's a baby one. Well, I shouldn't say it's a baby one. It could just be, you know what I mean? Like,
I
they
mean,
might
that
take
could be a
time to
placenta
grow,
right
but
there.
that's a plesiosaur in
Yeah.
a nutshell.
Okay. Now, could it be a hoax? Absolutely.
Yeah, of course.
This guy
But
had no reason to hoax this. He's just a normal, everyday dude that had been out boating with his family.
look at the scratches on it. You
Yeah.
see what I'm saying? Look at the scratches on it. Like, that thing, that's so cool. That's pretty
Yeah.
legit. I like it.
I mean, I had to show this because I was blown away by that. I don't really even remember ever hearing about this.
No, you wouldn't, though. You wouldn't hear about it. That's the thing about it. Like, it's always,
Georgia. I should hear about this kind of stuff in Georgia.
but like,
Okay.
so I was talking about this recently too. Like, I had to learn recently, had to decipher how they're hiding cryptid contact. And it's through hauntings and native spirits, Native American lore, right? So now I have to go and I can't look for stories of Bigfoot. I have to look through these or Dogman or whatever, right? I have to look through, I have to filter through every native folklore story that's written by a white man and and pick it apart to see what's in it, right? Because it's not always a haunting or a folklore.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of interesting. So you kind of gotta like play with like the way your local news perhaps or your local environment hides shit.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Joe says that looked way more legit than the Tesla car in space. It does. It looks pretty legit. And there's a local cryptid in South Georgia that looks very much like that thing that was on the beach out there, and that is called the Altamaha-ha. Okay, and here's just kind of a drawing on it. An Altamaha-ha is what that is called. And this is it's our number one cryptid out of Georgia. Now, of course, we have more Bigfoots than these probably, but this is what Georgia is known for. It's a legendary creature alleged to inhabit the myriad small streams and abandoned rice fields. I didn't even know we had rice fields. Okay. Near the mouth of the Altamaha River in southeastern Georgia. Sightings are particularly reported around Darien and elsewhere in McIntosh County. According to the Brunswick News, the legend has its roots in Muskogee tradition. That's Native American Muskogee tradition. That's right there on the border of Florida in the southeastern region. But Georgia, okay, so this is said to be a hissing sea monster. You can go find this thing in museums, and it's quite the, I guess, kind of a tourist kind of thing as well down in South Georgia. They call it Alti for short. It predates British English colonization, and it's said to have originated from the Lower Muskogee Creek tribe.
It's got to be able to go in like shallow water. If it's going in rice paddies and picking off unsuspected like house pets, it's got to be able to like navigate close to, kind of like how seals go on land. It's got to be able to do that a little bit at least.
For sure.
For sure. Yeah. Because I saw what it said in the stomach, right? Like unlucky house pets. It said.
Yeah. I mean, it looks a lot like this thing right here, though.
Yeah, well, that thing looks like it went on shore and then got attacked by something in the stomach.
Or it could be, I mean, what if it was like a live birth and that's the placenta right there or something? I don't know.
That too, yeah.
Who knows?
Or something killed it in the water and it just washed up. There's so much shit we don't know. But yeah, I don't know. That would be a lot of... I don't know what goes into a hoax, so I don't know how hard it is to do. Like, I can't draw a stick figure. So You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not the guy to ask.
I think it's pretty cool. I mean, if it is a hoax, you know, it is a very popular cryptid down there. I mean, my question is, what happened to that? Did somebody call? You know, because traditionally we know from being
You,
cryptid field researchers that when people call in stuff like that, usually a truck will show up with a flatbed, and men in black will show up, military style. You know, people will come in and take it off, and it's never to be seen again.
my thing is too. Why wouldn't they have made it much bigger if they were trying to fake like a Nessie or whatever? Why would they make it so small? Like that thing.
Yeah.
That thing only looks like it's maybe 6 feet, 7 feet long, right? At the best. I don't know.
I mean, I don't have anything to compare it to. It looks very
Yeah,
small.
I don't either. Yeah, I mean, I'm shit.
If you look at the seashells beside it, it looks small. I mean, to be the
Yeah, it's
size
pretty.
of a, I mean, to be, I'm going to say 5 feet maybe. I'm
I
not
spend my
sure.
yeah, I spent my life on an island looking at things washed up on shore, so I guess I just jumped to small. But yeah,
Yeah. Um, really interesting though, and I'll take that off
that's
screen.
what Robin.
Yeah,
Sorry, what
you're
she's
good.
saying there is so important. I've
Yeah,
always gone to the first people info for legit sources because like this is what is so important is like to always keep the source as credit because like we have shit like let's say the Independence Day footage. I don't know where that came from, right? The Bigfoot footage from Independence Day, the 4th of July footage. That's some dope footage. Where did it come from? Nobody knows, right? And like if we knew, if we could talk like that makes a difference, right? And like it drives me nuts. Just like when people take other people's photos or things and they just start putting it around and then you lose track of where it came from. But
yeah.
anyway,
It gets
I didn't mean
lost.
to
It does.
I didn't
Yeah.
mean to jump you.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I was just going to go over a couple of sightings of the Altamaha-ha. Okay, which I think that this is so close to where the Altamaha-ha is seen, where they took this picture. If this is a legit creature,
Mm-hmm.
this was alive at one point. It was birthed. It came out of something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, let's explore some of the sightings of the Altamaha-ha because I think that this thing right here could be that. Okay, it says in the summer of 1980, two men reported that they saw the Altamaha-ha stranded on a mud bank near the Cathead Creek. They reported that it was lying halfway in the water, thrashing and trying to free itself on the bank. They said it had dark coloring with rough skin, about 20 feet long. They said it freed itself eventually and submerged and disappeared. So it lived. Later in December of 1980, the same year, another man reported seeing what he thought was the Altamaha-ha in Smith Lake. He said the animal was 15 to 20 feet long, snake-like, with two brown humps that protruded from the water and left behind a wake like that of a speedboat. Another person in the 1980s described it was described by a crab fisherman, stated the creature looked like the world's biggest eel.
Mm.
EEL. Okay, and the more recent, which is actually 22 years ago, in 2002, a man was pulling a boat up a river near Brunswick. That's super South Georgia, right there at Florida. He reported seeing something over 20 feet in length and 6 feet wide break the water. And in 2010, an amateur photographer captured a video of something strange swimming in the channel off Fort King George Historic Site in Darien. Okay, so there are multiple sightings of this. It was pretty popular in the 1980s. And then in 2018, we had that creature wash up on shore. If it's legit, I think it could be. I mean, I don't know. It looks real, and
Yeah.
it made the news. So it was
But
on
again,
first page news.
you have reports of these things like so similar looking. Like I don't know. I just don't think all the dinosaurs are extinct. I just don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Sweet pea, we are super interested in this stuff. Okay, if that's what you're talking about. But we're all preaching to the choir here. We're all interested in this, but it's just really odd that like the whole world wasn't like, oh my gosh, we found the Lochness Monster on the beach, you know.
Well, I was,
And stuff.
like on a personal level, I was interested in it all probably my whole life, but when I locked eyes on something that doesn't exist, that was like it was like similar to a breath of fresh air, like times a million, because I was like, thank God there's more to this world. Like, thank God it's not just this crap, Like, and it was just like, it was super exciting, and it embarks you on this journey to like, you can't shut anything down. You can't.
Yeah, you can't. And I mean, you can, but
Well, I mean,
you can, but I mean, seeing so much stuff right now. We're seeing so much more high strangeness, highly strange creatures right now and stuff. And I'm fascinated by it. I think this is the best time ever to be a cryptid field researcher. And,
well, yeah,
and so to be a show host to talk about it, because gosh, we have the coolest hobby here, getting to talk about it to the public and stuff, and just to explore it. And these things, the legends of these things have been around for at least 200 years, with a lot of things we've talked about today. Probably go back farther than that. Okay, probably. But that's just what we know. And when you look at the charts of all the different cryptids, there's so many of them. Aquatic cryptids, things that are seen in water. There's so many. We only covered a tiny little percentage, okay, today. And we can always come back and do another show on this, okay, and to look up some more. But I thought that it would be wonderful having you here today to talk about the Mermaid report you took, and Champ, your boots on the ground, your flippers in the water research over there at Lake Champlain. And yeah, and that picture, I had to show that picture. I know it's kind of gross because we don't know what's coming out of its belly. It could have been just like a stillborn or something too. I mean, who knows? Could have
it's
been
hard to say. Yeah,
yeah.
it's up to, it's great that you showed it, because that is the equivalent to the Montauk Monster. Like, but the Montauk Monster is really hard to identify. You know what I mean? It's really hard to identify.
Yes, Aaron, I think a lot of us have thought what you wrote there. I guess I have to read it out loud because we have a big audience with that listens on podcasts. Aaron says, anyone else have mental plans about how to dissect and document a cryptid on my dining room table before the MIB come get it? LOL.
Yeah, I guess it depends what cryptid. I'd be.
Cryptid. That's right.
Yeah.
It depends. It totally depends. Maybe like a lake cryptid or something, or like the creature from the Black Lagoon type of a creature.
Yeah.
Maybe that. Those are creepy. Okay. But yeah, not a Bigfoot. I wouldn't do that one.
No.
But anyways, well, this has been fantastic, Mike. Oh my gosh, I wanted to thank you so much for being here today, and talking about your experience, your boots on the ground field research, and just wow, what a great time. I hope you'll come back and see me, and come talk about some more cryptids with me.
Yeah, anytime. Yeah, we got to get back out there soon too. Like, we'll figure out something. My mind is expanding now, so I'm I'm looking forward to getting into different places and doing different things. So.
Yeah,
maybe we'll go look for the Hawaii-ha-ha. What is his name?
Altamaha-ha. The Altamaha-ha.
Yeah, that sounds like such a badass name. It's like a Hawaiian superhero, like the ultimate ha.
Oh my gosh, yeah, Barry. Oh, I forgot, Barry. We didn't have time to talk about this today. He said, "Let's talk about the Kamos." He sent me a video before the show today. We didn't have time to talk about it, but maybe I can get Barry on to talk about that. And we'll do another cryptid show, aquatic cryptids, with that. But thank you for being here, Barry. And yeah, thank you to everybody who's here today. We had a wonderful chat. I could not keep up again with the chat. Mike, tell everybody where they can find you, about your YouTube channel, and tell me what you got coming up.
Oh man, I don't know. It's always up in the air. Probably gonna be some camping trips soon, with extended periods with like live streams, keeping you guys included obviously in the activities if there are any. Or if there aren't any, we just shoot the shit, right? But we'll sit around and wait and hang out. But it's that time of year where I'm ready to get back in the tent. And yeah, hopefully some more, excursions. But we'll see. We'll see. We never know what's coming next.
Oh my gosh. Well, keep me posted on everything. And yeah, I got to get back up to New York sometime and do some more
There's a lot.
tromping around.
There's a lot more to do. That's for sure.
Okay. All right, and you can come down to Georgia too. We'll do some Bigfooting down here sometime if you can get down here, and we'll have some chicken fingers and tater dogs when you get down. Okay. Yeah. So everybody, let's do it. All right, y'all go please subscribe to Long Island Bigfoot on YouTube, and yeah, give Mike a like and a subscribe over there, a like and a subscribe. Okay?
Just come back here. This is where it's at. You're doing a great job. Just keep doing your thing.
Thank you, and I appreciate that very much. And Andrew, thank you so much for that super sticker. That is so sweet.
Good job.
I appreciate that very much, Andrew. You're my first of all, my mods are the best in the business over here.
I just found him on Facebook today. Actually, it's so weird.
I love it. Yeah. Well, Andrew, thank you so much for all your support. You're on the front lines of everything that I do, and I just love it. And I appreciate you very much. And I'm sending you all my love today. Thank you for that. It's very sweet. And yeah, well, this is fantastic. You guys, please be safe out there. We do bring all of these things to the forefront for your viewing pleasure and for you to be kind of educated, just like the rest of us, on like me and Mike too, on what's out there, or what Robbie's got to show us is what's really out there. Okay, it's good to know what's really out there. What's going to grab your foot when you're swimming in the lake? Okay.
I'm down.
Right? Oh my gosh, yes. Well, you listen. Everybody have a wonderful day. Please come back and see me. What is today? Wednesday. Okay, today's Monday. Come back and see me on Wednesday. We will have a glitch in the matrix coming up. Excuse me. I got a little bug my son brought home from school last week.
They all got it. They all got it.
Yeah. I need a drink. Hold on. Let me get a sip of my sparkling water. That'll help. But yeah, come back and see me on Wednesday on a glitch in the matrix. And then Thursday night, we'll have a show at 8 p.m. And then on Saturday night, we'll have a show. I actually have Tom Springer coming on to talk about some dogmen, something that he's really near and dear to his heart on Saturday night. That's going to be a really fantastic show. So y'all definitely put that on your calendar for Saturday night. Be sure to be back here at 10 p.m. on Saturday too. But Mike, thank you again for being here. Y'all go subscribe over on Mike's channel. And yeah, keep your head on a swivel, everybody. Y'all have a wonderful rest of your day. And I will be sending out all of the card readings that I did last week for you guys, or you got them last week. I did them over the weekend. They're all going out today. So thank you for your support with all of that, and expect your readings in your boxes today. All right. Okay, Mike, have a great day. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Bye, y'all.